All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Monday, December 22nd, 3:46 p.m. I pressed live at 3:45, but I guess it was at 3:45 and 50 seconds. But we are here. We're live. Once again, the theme of the day, which is quite frankly the theme of the past couple weeks, is choppiness. SoFi goes red, S&P 500 holding on to its green, but it doesn't really feel like that when you look at a lot of names that have not held up their green. Now, a lot of names have held up their green. It's just not the type of sort of breakout green that a lot of people want to see. First of all, Bitcoin not able to hold 90,000. This was just at 87.8. Now it's back to 88.3 again, oscillating around that 86 to 90,000 range. Tesla got to 498 this morning, now at 489. Palantir fell all the way from 198 to 193. CoreWeave is up 2% on the day. Grab at least holding $5. That's up 5% on the day. Robinhood fell from 124 down to 121, back to 122. Again, really been stuck in this $3 to $4 range between 115 and 122. Oracle up 3%. That's nice to see. Amazon breaking out a little bit at 229. That's nice to see. And then you got the S&P 500 that is green. So while there are a lot of names that took down from some of their highs of the day, and they're still green, they're just not as green as they were before. The names that have held up are the space names. Rocket Lab, 9% on the day, got to 78.44. ASTS, that's up 13.5% on the day. Remember that small cap we talked about today, Saidu Space? That is up 93% on the day. There's another one I just saw, which makes the rest of these look like peanuts. FJET, Starfighter Space, is up 318% on the day. I don't know what they do, but you got space. That's moving. Ticker symbol Fly. This one's a more legit one. This is Fly Aerospace. That's up 15%. It's actually down a lot from $40 back in August. So this one's having a great day. Again, I think a lot of it's being led by that space bid. But really, the sector of the day has been space. Data centers have had some love. Nebius, Iran, both up 4% on the day. Google made an acquisition. We'll talk about that in the data center space, which has also been helping those names. Oracle's been decent. Broadcom recovery back above 340. But really, the story of the day has been space. You're either in space and you're making money on a day like this, or you're not in space and you're kind of watching from the sidelines. Now, even with the run-up that we've seen today, and I asked the question in the morning, how many people are selling any of their space-based stocks? And it was a decent chunk of you said you were at least trimming. I mean, when you go on Twitter and you look at the Rocket Lab posts, I mean, there are a majority of people that are at least considering trimming or hedging their position. Some people saying I'm fully out of the position because this is just too much too quick. So it's not really an all-time high, just from anecdotally what I'm reading, that is being celebrated. But it's an all-time high that's more feared, which quite frankly might be the contrarian reason to go long going into next year. But you do have a lot of people thinking it's happening too fast, too quick. And regardless of how you feel, the market is giving these stocks a premium. Broadcom right there at 342. Firefly is up 15%. FJet is up 322%. You then have Black Sky that is also making a pretty big move today. It was up 17%. Now it's up 12% on the day. ASTS up 13%. And then Rock Lab up about 9.6% here. So, I mean, look, not too bad. If you're in the space names, you're in the space names. If you're not, you're not. I don't know if these are the names to chase at the moment, especially because when the S&P fell 5% in November, Rocket Lab got cut in half. But that's not just specific to Rocket Lab. That's with all the high beta names. It's just the space headline is what's really driving those space names to continue getting some momentum. Luna right there, Intuitive Machines. We talked about this a couple of months ago. It's been coming up back in the news again because of the space trade. That one is also up 10.4% on the day. Matthew says, yeah, I sold my Rocket Lab position from May today. I still want to re-enter at a later date. I just don't trust the pump though. That idea of not trusting the pump, that is what is seriously going around. If I had to describe like the one sentiment, one phrase to describe the sentiment on Rocket Lab or space in general, or just even the market, forget Rocket Lab, just exaggerated because it's making such a big move, but I don't trust the pump. And you got the S&P up almost 0.5%. That's a great day for the S&P, 684.72. It's a great day. It's just the names that you would think would be massively leading are not leading. Nvidia right there, 183.49. That's up 1.3%. We do have a headline from the information. Nvidia restructures cloud team after retreating from Amazon's AWS competition. I don't even know what that means. Restructures cloud team. I guess Nvidia trying to tailor their offerings to be supportive of AWS. Remember, Nvidia doesn't really compete with the hyperscalers on cloud. They did a while ago. And then they realized they cannot compete with their biggest customers because their biggest customers are giving them a lot of money. They're paying a very hefty Nvidia tax. So we'll try to get deeper into that headline and see what it means. But that is one thing you're getting on Nvidia right there. If anyone understands that headline, let me know. I'll try to find some more details on it. It is from the information, so the information might just be bored today and be putting out some stuff. Amazon right there, 229. We had Tom Leon. Let's see what he has to say. He continues to remain bullish for 2025 and 2026 and probably 2027.
17%. Next year, we fill in the blank with what sounds reasonable to you.
I think it's still possible to have a double-digit year. There have been 12 times in the last 100 years where markets posted 3 years of 20% gains. This year hasn't finished yet. Globally, half the time markets do even better in the following year. So I think next year is a year where the debate's going to be, is the bull cycle over or is it going to extend? I think it's going to create quite a lot of volatility in the first half, but I think GDP growth stronger. We have a dovish Fed. Valuations are reasonable, so I think we end up exiting very strong.
Why a lot of volatility in the first half then?
Part of it is the Trump tariffs could get overturned. There is a possibility of an extended government shutdown. The nomination and then confirmation of a new Fed chair is going to take 3 months. That could be very controversial. I think all of that happens in the first half of next year.
How's that sound to you, Steph?
I think that sounds really great. The economy is on solid footing. We've been talking about that all year long. Last week, we got some really encouraging data with regards to weekly jobless claims. Inflation came in a little bit better. We've talked about the H8 Federal Reserve loan growth, lending. That's actually at a 9-week high, all-time high for loan growth. That's very bullish for activity overall. The industrial metals are at all-time highs. And you have global central bankers, including the Fed, getting more and more closer to the neutral rate.
In the midst of all that excitement, again, the average price target on the S&P just is 10% for next year, which is, a lot more different than the past 3 years. I've got some stats as well that we'll look at about what happens in the fourth year of a bull market. But, one of the main arguments that we've seen from a lot of these people on the street is just it's tougher to repeat back-to-back years with 20% or more on the S&P.
Yes and no, because when you look at 3 year stacked, it's still Mag 7. And so I think it makes sense to not just look at 2025 by itself, but how have stocks done since the end of 2022. To me, there's a lot of room for cyclicals to really outperform, including financials, because the ISM's been below 50 now for almost 3 years. That hopefully turns up above 50 next year, and we get a pretty, I think what I consider a cyclical broadening of the market.
To outperform tech?
Yes, and Steph and I were talking about this, that I think tech earnings visibility is still good, but the multiple expansion story doesn't have as much upside as industrials or financials or energy or even basic materials.
Funny, because you just bought more Meta.
So once again, he seems relatively bullish, and he's making the argument that, which I agree with. The Mag 7, I still think, have a pretty good year in 2026, but you are getting a lot more doubts coming in around, can the Mag 7 hold up at the level that they're at? Google right here at 309, that's up 1%. They acquired a company today, and the Google acquisition, I think, was actually very bullish for the data center plays. The company's name is Intersect, and they have a couple of facilities across the country. They spent $4.75 billion. Intersect is a power-first developer that co-locates large data centers with dedicated gas and renewable generation and battery storage to reduce reliance on constrained grid for AI scale compute. The thesis on the data center plays is that they are going to help the hyperscalers do exactly what Intersect is doing. In this case, Google just decided to acquire them. But the fact that Google's even paying $5 billion to just swallow them up and have them into their infrastructure to be able to scale AI compute makes sense. But it also indicates how strong demand is for this broader ecosystem. SPY is less than 1% off all-time highs. It doesn't really feel like it, right? It's one of those things where it's like we've had a bit of a rotation into a lot of different names, so it doesn't feel like the SPY is close to all-time highs, but it is there. Nvidia well below all-time highs, 183.50. Maybe one could argue Nvidia didn't deserve to get to 212 back in October, which was probably too quick. But the fact that it did, and now it's come back down, someone bought those shares at 200, 205, 206, and right now they are down on those shares. Broadcom right there, 341. We got about 5 minutes until the market closes. Reddit, that one is flat. Zeta actually up 2% on the day. VG up 3.39%. The Q's up 0.49. AMD did get some love on that headline with Nvidia that they would finally be able to sell into China. You also had another AMD headline that Baba is considering to buy 40,000 to 50,000 AMD MI308 GPUs. And I think it's like 60 to 70,000 H200s from Nvidia. So the China revenue is coming back for these guys. Street doesn't, love that headline a ton today, given AMD was at 220, now it's at 214, but still really good for their overall business. App loving that's at 733. Micron, I did not even see this today. Wow. Look at that, 276. That's all-time highs. Micron is trading at I think 11 now forward PE. This has been the best stock all year in the S&P 500, if I'm not wrong. I think Robinhood still might be outperforming that. Micron year-to-date, 216. Hood year-to-date, 209. Nope, Micron takes the lead. Micron is now the best performing stock in the S&P 500. And, this thing was at 220 a couple weeks ago after earnings. So the bear case on Micron, again, is memory is cyclical, and there's arguments about sort of the broader output of Micron has already been the best it could be, even though they did raise guidance, which is why it's like it feels kind of scary buying at these levels. But then again, you look at the forward multiple, you look at the growth. Now, maybe that growth doesn't continue to live up to the hype, which is why that forward multiple gets more expensive. But I mean, if you own Micron, everyone needs memory, and there's 3 companies that supply it: SK Hynix, Micron, and Samsung. And one would imagine if GPU demand is going to be stable, memory demand is going to be pretty stable as well, if not accelerating. So it has done very well. We're going to go through JP Morgan's top list for 2026 as well, and we'll review some of their stocks in different sectors. Goldman did say their top picks are Nvidia and Broadcom, along with Cadence going into 2026, particularly in the semiconductor ecosystem. Yeah, Western Digital, SanDisk, all those memory names, massive, massive, massive moves. And it's kind of crazy because, they kind of, I think when they IPO'd, people didn't care too much about them, but then the natural demand around memory just became a very big thing. FJet, again, that company, how long have they been? Wow, got suspended. Look at that. Got suspended. This stock has been public since Friday, December 19th. Okay, so so they IPO'd on December 18th. I don't think any of us looked at this on December 18th, which was 4 days ago. I think we looked at Medline, and probably for good reason. This thing was a $100 million IPO, so I don't think a lot of people cared about it. 3 days later, up 377%. I don't know, guys. That just feels weird to me. Like no one, like literally, I saw zero coverage of this on the IPO. And again, when it's a lot of small caps IPO, but they kind of go public to go public. They don't necessarily go public as a big event. And now it's up 400% 4 days. I mean, what happened within 4 days? Outside of the space narrative got re-rated. So a lot of this is running on narratives right now. The question is just going to be, can that narrative be sustained? Amazon, red candle as we are 30 seconds away from the close. Why not? Why not? That's what happens with Mr. Amazon. All right, we got 30 seconds, folks. I think Steve will be calling in about 20 minutes, and we'll get his thoughts on the market. But overall, choppy day, green day, kind of a stock picker's market. Overall, more green than red. S&P 500 up 0.62%. Can't get too mad about that. And hopefully it is laying in a foundation for an end-of-year run on that Santa Claus rally. Monday, December 22nd, 4 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market, once again, is closed. All right, we are done for the day. We are done for the day. Go Falling Knife, thank you for the $200 super chat. Deeply, deeply appreciate that. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the $200 super chat. And hopefully today was a pretty green day for everybody as well. 684.72, that's up 0.61% on the S&P. Can't get mad about that. 690 is the all-time high. We are relatively close to that level. Broadcom, that's up 0.5%. Firefly, that's up 16. Sideview Space up 96. ASTS up 14. Planet Labs up 7. Rocket Lab up 10. Nebius up 4. Iren up 5. SoFi flat on the day. Got a little bit of a boost right at the end, up about 0.4%, but pretty much stayed in a range. RCAT up 14%. DJI got banned today. They're a drone company, and They were already banned, but they got another ban this morning. Yeah, completely banned new DJI drone sales and imports after December 23rd, which is tomorrow. So that law that went through today under the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that's what I think gave the drone stocks a lot of love. DJI is a Chinese company that has been able to sell a lot of drones commercially, but it looks like that's not going to happen anymore. Ondas was up about 0.54% on the day. C Limited, that was up 2.29%. Bitmine was actually flat on the day. ETH, did we get 3,000? Once again, below 3,000 on Ethereum. Bitcoin just below 90 or 89 at 88.3. Opendoor, we do have an update on them. They're up 0.94%. You had Medline that was up a little bit on the day. Home Depot that was flat on the day. Verizon that was flat. Robinhood ended at 122. Grab ended above 5, which is nice to see. And then Palantir, 193.98, as that was also flat on the day after going up to 198. Fear and greed is at greed. Yeah, I mean, it was at neutral in the morning. Yep, we are officially greed. You can't blame it. S&P is almost at all-time highs. I know it doesn't feel like that given some of the tech names aren't leading it. But, I mean, look at this heat map today. Outside of Apple and Microsoft and then Walmart, it's a green day. It's a very, very green day. Choppy green day, but still pretty green. So, I mean, this is not the buying opportunity that we had in November when we were at extreme fear. And you could feel the extreme fear. You know, we're not necessarily feeling the fear that we're not even feeling sort of the broader hesitation right now in this market versus back when extreme fear was at 4. So it makes sense that we're at greed. Now, I don't think we're at extreme greed yet. I think we would need to at least get past 71, 7,200 to get there. But maybe we're not there yet. Is Trump going to go live in a bit? So he's supposed to be making an announcement with Hexeth that actually could be good for the drone stocks. They're going to be talking about shipbuilding as well. Officially not live up yet. Also, Waymo had some issues. I found out like an hour ago. Let's get a little bit of an update on that. But apparently the power got shut down, and so did the Waymos in San Francisco.
It was interesting. Let me just show you some of the scenes from Saturday night here in San Francisco. You had Waymos stopped in the middle of intersections, causing gridlock across parts of the city. Now, the vehicles are designed to handle dead traffic lights and keep driving, even if they lose wireless connectivity. But what you're seeing here is a system that defaulted to extreme caution when too many variables broke at once. Now, this raises a bigger question for the Alphabet subsidiary. Can they generalize? Because the ability to adapt in real time, that's what ultimately unlocks scale. And it may be the key divide between the Waymo and Tesla approaches. Now, Elon Musk posted over the weekend that Tesla robotaxis were unaffected by the power outage. Now, that is not a fair comparison because Tesla does not run a driverless service here in San Francisco, but it does reveal a different underlying philosophy. Tesla is trying to build autonomy that behaves more like a human, so one that can improvise, which can infer amid ambiguity, like in a blackout. Now, here's a simple way to think about it. A Waymo robotaxi approaching a dead traffic light treats it as a four-way stop, then proceeds very cautiously until it can confirm what every other actor is doing. So during a citywide blackout, that quickly turns into gridlock. A more human-like system, which Musk says Tesla is building, would do what drivers actually did that night, and that is read eye contact, edge forward, make judgment calls without having perfect signals. Now, the latter may come with safety trade-offs because it is asking the system to make judgment calls with less certainty. So learn in the wild. If that works, it could scale faster because it doesn't require perfect mapping before every deployment. Now,
so I'm definitely late on this news. Apparently this happened Saturday, but I thought that was pretty incredible to see. And, you know, it's not like the death of Waymo or anything crazy like that, but it does give a lot of the Tesla bulls ammo to make their argument for how Tesla could have avoided that. And it goes back and forth, right, with the trade-offs between what Tesla offers versus what Waymo offers. At the end of the day, the more I use FSD, the more I use any form of self-driving, I continue to believe this is the future, regardless if it's Waymo and Tesla. And, whether one takes massive market share versus the other, they're both going to be big players. And it's going to really matter in the future, especially to get the cost of transportation down. Google right there, 309.78, down about 0.85%. Trump's stream is not live yet. They did say 4:30. Yeah, 4:30. Okay, so we'll see at 4:30. If they go live, it might be a little bit later. We'll see what announcement that looks like for today. I was in SF or Fisher in the middle of all that happening. That is inconvenient though, if the cars just stop and then all these other people have to, go on with their day. So I can imagine, that was definitely annoying in San Francisco. But these are the things we're gonna have to get used to. I mean, in the morning, we talked about a Japanese woman getting married to ChatGPT, and now you see Waymo's stopping in the middle of traffic. I mean, this is the new AI world that we live in. And there's nothing we can really do about it. Opendoor. Looks like they have officially expanded to thousands of new zip codes where they will be buying houses. I still do not get the Opendoor thesis. I'm sorry, but this still makes zero sense to me. So the CEO is like, hey, AI has fundamentally changed how many houses or how many places we can buy houses in. And I'm like, okay, has AI helped you guys make a profit on any of those houses or even have the possibility to make a profit? So I continue to remain skeptical on this. I'm not exactly sure what the pitch is, but they are having a much broader appeal to be able to buy more houses. And so maybe that could be a good thing for Opendoor. I think a lot of the hype has died down with Opendoor. It's still holding $6. If you bought at 50 cents, you're up a lot, but it's not really breaking out past those $10 levels. So Trump is going to be announcing a new fleet of battleships later today as well. Streets estimating they're going to cost $4 billion a ship. One of the stocks that's potentially going to be a player in that is HII. These guys were up 5% on the day. Huntington Ingalls stock that is going to be crucial towards the actual creation of these battleships. So Street's expecting there's going to be some level of announcement in regards to battleships, and ultimately there might be some companies that benefit from that as well. Market pricing in a rate cut for the next Fed meeting is in April. So the market is now giving a 45% chance to us getting a rate cut in April. Still for January, it's at less than 20%. And so we're going to see if we end up getting it. Now, April will be the last Fed meeting with Mr. Jerome Powell. So maybe that's his final gift to everybody before he ends up leaving. But there are no rate cuts priced in for the first 3 months. April is when the street thinks there is a shot that we can get there. And again, this was the news on Alibaba. Once again, it looks like they're going to be buying more AMD chips. The other piece of news today on Baba that I thought was also interesting, it's ironic because I talked about it this morning, is Baba launched a $284 AI glasses to challenge Meta. Pre-orders for 2 new Quark AI glasses, $284, which is, I think, relatively cheap compared to the Meta ones. And they include cameras, mics, dual chips, and swappable batteries, along with the ability to conduct AI-based applications for you, whether you're talking to it, directions, yada, yada. So I don't know how big of a hit it's going to be in the United States. Again, maybe people buy that. A lot of that data is, once again, going back to China. Some people care, some people won't care. Alibaba basically flattened the day up 0.78%. But they are getting into the race to compete with Meta on this. Yeah, that's probably why Baba had a little bit of a jump before it gave back some of their gains. So those were some of the other main headlines. Again, we got Trump at 4:30, and we're going to see what Mr. Trump had to say. All right, let's go through some of these other macro updates. So first of all, going back to this idea of the 4-year bull market, I think this is really important to show. So this is someone from Altimeter that pulled up a chart that shows non-tech tends to outperform tech roughly once every 4 years. And I thought this chart was pretty interesting. So the NASDAQ tends to outperform in falling or low rates, disinflation, or easing liquidity, which is actually the setup for 2026. And value tends to win when markets favor near-term cash flows and dividend. Non-tech outperforms in rising rates, inflation, or reflation. None of those things are going to happen, or none of those things supposedly will be the issue that we have to deal with going into 2026. We're likely not going to see massive levels of reflation or essentially a raising of the rates. So we're going to see more monetary policy that's liquid and easy. So if that's the case, I mean, yes, we are due for that 1 in 4 years of non-tech like outperforming. The question is just, in this cycle of AI, do we actually get that? In this cycle of innovation, do we get that? And if we don't, it ends up being a relatively good year. If we do, then we're going to have to see how it plays out. In terms of equity ETFs, $145 billion last week into the equity ETFs. We now have 1.4 trillion. VOO saw $59 billion in inflows last week. Global equity ETFs are on track for a record 1.4 trillion in inflows, 200 billion more than last year. This is the 11th consecutive week of positive inflows. So once again, you have this kind of end of year chase where money is finding itself into the equity markets, whether it's global ETFs or something like the VOO, which essentially tracks the S&P 500, seeing 145 billion in inflows over the last week. Now, maybe that changes going into 2026, but right now you're seeing a decent amount of that money continue to find that ecosystem. Basent, I just see the notification right here. He was on the All In podcast. Let's pull this up and let's see if we can fast forward to, let's take a look at this clip where they're talking about affordability. And then we should have Trump live in about 20 minutes.
So I think the question, and I really appreciate the introspection here on year one and the optimism for year two. Wall Street, the tech industry, we've absolutely loved the results in year one. My portfolio has surged, so that's fantastic. Thank you. Probably beyond my expectation, but Main Street is particularly displeased with the Trump administration's first year. Your net approval rating is the lowest on two key issues: inflation, net approval rating down about 30% on average since the summer, and on the economy, 18% net negative. And so this is quite paradoxical, obviously, since Trump was elected and considered historically very strong on those two specific issues. So my question to you is, are the American people wrong? Or maybe did President Trump set expectations too high during the election? Or do you just need more time to execute and you're asking the American people humbly to give you more time?
Well, I think it's C, because as Vice President Vance has said, we didn't get here overnight. We inherited a mess. And I think 2026 is going to be a very good year for the American people, for Main Street. And what we are not going to do is A, which is what the Biden administration did. And many commentators, whether it was Greg Ip in the Wall Street Journal, the toxic Paul Krugman, who seems to have been booted from the New York Times and is relegated to Substack, or the former vice chair of the Fed, Alan Blinder. And they said, oh, no, you don't understand how good you have it. Eat your drink your grog, have your bread, peasants. We'll give you a little more. It's a vibe session, and we're going to explain to you why you have it really good. We understand that the American people are hurting, and I think the way to think about it is there's a price level that things appreciated to during the Biden administration. Then there is the inflation level. The price level has gotten very high. I think cumulative CPI during the Biden administration was 22%. There's a Wall Street firm called Strategas Research. They do something called the Common Man Index, and it is what do working families need: gasoline, insurance, autos, mostly used cars, rent, staples, and that appreciated by about 35%. So people are seething over the high price level. And as we saw in the inflation print this week, inflation is starting to turn down, and affordability is two parts. It is getting the price is under control. Some things we can decrease. Gasoline is coming down substantially.
Are you guys buying it? The question was, the country's not affordable. Wall Street made a lot of money this year. Main Street's struggling. What's your response? I mean, he's talked for a couple minutes. I'm not sure if what he said over the past couple minutes is enough to get people to think that Main Street is doing well. So what do you think? Is this enough of a justification for affordability being applicable for Main Street?
I would expect that it would come down much more. Oil is down substantially. Gasoline follows it with a lag. Rents are down, and we are now seeing the effects of what 10 to 20 million undocumented people coming into the country did for rents. This mass unfettered immigration for D and C rent levels was through the roof. There's a study from Wharton that shows that 1% of population increase in a city leads to 1% rent. So we can see why rent went up. That if the migrants are going home, we are now seeing rents are down about 5%. I think that trend will continue.
He is right about that. The biggest thing that decreased in the CPI last week was shelter, and rents are a big part of that.
Again, the inflation numbers are starting to roll down. I think that they will. And then the other side is real incomes, which I think are starting to accelerate. Real incomes are up about 1.8% since President Trump took office. And that's back to the Main Street question.
So just one quick follow-up there, and I'll give it back to my compatriots. We need more time. This is not a one-year project. It's going to take 2 or 3 years, and we're not going to gaslight you. And the numbers are looking good. On that note, we had the shutdown. October numbers were not complete. There's a bunch of reports now and hand-wringing over those numbers. I think maybe you could address it, which is the BLS filled in a lot of the non-survey data sources with some zeros, and potentially the criticism now or the concern on Wall Street and from analysts is that maybe this 2.7 number is over optimistic. Maybe you could address people's concerns, and can we trust you with the numbers, I think is what Wall Street's saying.
Again, it's amazing when a good number comes out, then it switches to that. And Jason, just let me tell you, every Wall Street predictor on Bloomberg was wrong. So what do you do when you're wrong? You blame the measurement, you blame the data. And there's always a lot of imputed data in any of these numbers. That's why we get revisions. And I was looking at the numbers, and paradoxically, the two things that I think are coming down the fastest, which are rent, also it's known as the owner-occupied funding or owner-occupied rent. That was actually up on the month. I believe it is turned negative. And then the other thing that was up was energy and gasoline, which is an observable event that those prices have decreased substantially from September, October. So I actually think it was a pretty accurate number.
So you've checked into that, the BLS numbers from October. You feel confident they put those placeholders, they put those assumptions in correctly. You feel confident in that?
Look, the BLS is problematic. We've seen that the whole time. I have no reason to believe that this is any less robust than any other data series. And I would say with rent, with energy, that those are very large components that have turned down substantially that actually recorded a gain for that measurement period.
Look, I mean, this is Besant's argument. At the end of the day, there are a lot of people that are annoyed about CPI, and one of the reasons they could be annoyed about it is because they got it wrong. As Besant is saying, you also have other people that are saying, hey, the methodology for this CPI is a bit weirder than has historically happened in the past. But the administration is going to continue to make the argument that they are making things more affordable. Now, someone in the chat said, well, things are more affordable for me because I'm making more in the stock market. So that's, that is the story of the year with this whole K-shaped economy. If you are making money and you are participating in the asset appreciation, things are relatively more affordable. If you're not, the argument is that it doesn't feel like it's that affordable. And again, this is why the biggest risk to a stock market crash next year is a stock market crash. AKA, like, if you have a market crash, the economy does not have the ability to be sustained because the people that were making money are borrowing against their assets. And you can't borrow against it. If you borrowed against Nvidia at 185 on margin or some stock-based loan or whatever, and Nvidia goes to like 130, I mean, there's something called a margin call. And if you already spent that money, then you've got to sell something else, which creates more selling pressure to pay back the loan. And so we kind of can't, but then it begs the question, should Nvidia go to 130? And when you look at every multiple and every earnings projection, it's like, no, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So like fundamentally, it's not like Nvidia's 300 that could get cut in half. It's like, no, Nvidia's at a 24 times multiple. It shouldn't probably go down to a 17 times multiple. At 130, I think it'd be much lower than 17 times. But that is, I think, the broader risk to the economy if the market does get a hit. A lot of you guys are mentioning gas prices. So I think we got an official stat on it this morning. And then we'll go back to that Besant interview, which is that the national average for gas in the country now looks like it's, let's pull up the exact number, but I believe it's like $2.80 or something like that. Something that's significantly, 2 to 85. A record 122.4 million Americans are expected to travel this holiday season. Gas prices hit a record low for 4 years at $2.85 a gallon. Which, I mean, look, that's pretty good. And you got gas prices in general, I think, still below 60, which is also pretty good. Question is, can it stay at those levels? 57.91 on WTI crude. Now, the California people, I can't help you. California stuff is crazy. But at least it's not $5 anymore in California, right? Wow, 385 in North Cal. Look, that's pretty decent compared to like a year ago. I mean, if you're anywhere below $4 in California, I think that's not horrible. 350 in SoCal. It's in the fours. Some of you guys think 485. That's a big variance in LA. 385 in the Bay Area, 226 in Missouri. By the way, the Chiefs are leaving their Missouri freaking stadium and they're moving to Kansas officially. So that was also big news in the football world. 445 in Hawaii. Hawaii is a weird type of expensive. I don't know why that place is as expensive as it is, but one could argue it's more expensive than the Bay Area in certain respects. I mean, the Bay Area overall, net aggregate is more expensive, but still, Hawaii is freaking expensive. By the way, milk futures down to its lowest prices as well in 2.5 years. Eggs are also at the same level. So, you know, when the administration comes out and says, hey, things are becoming more affordable, it's not like they're completely wrong about that. It's just if the perception of it doesn't feel affordable with wage growth and rents, which I think they're right that rents are coming down pretty strongly, then, you know, that's where people are going to vote in a certain way. But there are some stats indicating that things have become more affordable. I will let Steve know if he joins today that milk prices have come down. That's probably why he's buying all this milk. It's cheap now. He doesn't have to worry about rising milk prices here. You can't say Missouri. How do you say it? It's Missouri. Or do you actually have to say both S's in Missouri? No, I think I'm saying it right. It sounds like a Z. That's how it's supposed to sound. Missouri.
Missouri.
Oh, shit. Never mind. Why is...
Missouri.
Okay, so I got the Z right, but I didn't really say the EE. Missouri. I thought it was Missouri. I was like, no, the two S's are a Z. I know that for a fact. I don't know, it was Missouri. Or whatever. Whatever. I'm Canadian and I know this. Look, you don't have to rub it in. You don't have to rub it in. Trump to announce new warship class named after him. Wow. Okay, so whenever he goes live and gives us this ship announcement, looks like the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Trump will be looking to announce the new class of ships to be named after him. So this will be the Trump ships, I guess. Okay, we'll see that announcement when it comes out. This was another chart that I thought was really interesting. We talked a little bit about this last week. Equity holdings surpass real estate in U.S. households' net worth in Q2 of 2025. The last two times this happened, we had a crash. And probably because people got super exuberant. And because of that exuberance, they decided to buy more stocks than real estate and ended up leading to a crash. Again, there's a lot of nuances to how these things happen. It really begs the question, are we hiking rates? Are we lowering rates? Do we have earnings growth? Do we don't? But I mean, and also market participation. I mean, you're seeing a lot of young people enter into the markets that are saying, I don't want a house. I want to own more Amazon because I see more upside in that over the next 10 years. So although this has been a contra signal whenever it's happened, I think there is a lot more nuance to the amount of people that are participating in the equity markets and just, you know, want to be people that own assets that potentially have earnings and free cash flow and growth over necessarily real estate. Also, again, real estate's not that affordable for young people. I mean, obviously the whole mantra of work hard, save up money, yada, yada. Like, yes, that's fair. But if you're talking about, if you have, you know, $20,000 in your bank, it's easier to justify, hey, I can buy some shares of Amazon versus get ready to buy an entire investment property with that 20 grand. Although it is possible, it's not crazy. Like there are many ways and hacks to enter into that market, but it's also really easy to download Robinhood, swipe up, and then boom, you're an asset owner. Versus going through the process of figuring out how to get the right FHA loan to put down a down payment. So yeah, the lack of affordability, and also again, mortgage rate. I mean, these things have not come down substantially, even with 5 rate cuts over the past year and a half. So, I mean, that is also, I think, excluding people from entering into the real estate market. Okay, let's go back to Scotty B. Let's see if we can get some other stuff from this this interview. Let's see what he had to say about tax cuts, because we're supposed to be getting a decent amount of tax refunds next year as well.
Couple points here. What we are going to see next year, that if you think about the signature parts of the tax bill, I think that the most powerful parts had the immediate expensing for American business, permanent for equipment, and then 4 or 5 year window for factories. So we are already seeing a CapEx boom. So 2025 was a CapEx boom. I think that is going to accelerate with all the trade deals we've done. I was just about 6 weeks ago in my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina. Boeing, the largest employer there, is increasing their plant by 50% for the Dreamliners, result of the trade deals, but it's also part of the tax deal. So we're going to continue seeing this CapEx boom that turns into an employment boom. On the other side, for working Americans, the president, I led the administration's team up on the Hill in terms of what was non-negotiable for the president. And a lot of traditional Republicans didn't like his campaign promises to working Americans, and the president never yielded on this. So no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans for American-made cars. So the bill was done on July 4th. It's retroactive to the beginning of the year for working Americans, retroactive to January 20th for corporates. So working Americans, I also had the honor of being the IRS commissioner, and I can see that we're going to have a gigantic refund year in the first quarter because no one changed working Americans did not change their withholding. So I think households could see, depending on the number of workers, $1,000, $2,000 refunds. They will change their withholding schedule at the beginning of the year, and they will get an automatic increase in real wages. So
Okay, so that is his argument about the wage increases of next year via the tax refunds or rebates. He didn't mention the $2,000 stimulus, but I mean, that is something that Trump has still floated as an idea they're going to be putting out. So maybe that just comes through the rebate, or maybe that comes through an actual stimulus check. I don't know if we can afford to do that, but that is the administration's argument for why next year should be a good year. You've got a lot of money coming back into the system via those rebates, and that should be broadly effective for the broader market. There's another part of this that I want to show, which is when he's talking about the tariffs. But before that, I wanted to show this as well, because I thought this was pretty interesting. These are JP Morgan's top 2026 picks by sector. So industrials, Boeing, CPKC, Vertiv, and Caterpillar make the list. Consumer, AutoZone, Carvana, Celsius, DraftKings, McCormick, Starbucks, UAL, Ralph Lauren, and Viking. I'm surprised they picked DraftKings, and I'm also surprised they picked AutoZone there, but those are the ones you have. Energy, they have Exxon, GE Vernova, that was amazing this year, Schlumberger, Williams, Devon Energy, and Entergy Corp. So you're not having the EOSEs or the T1s, but those are a bit more speculative. These are some of the core names that JP Morgan likes. Financials, I mean, they could pretty much just say all of them. Allstate, Charles Schwab, Global Life, Valley National Bank, Citigroup. I mean, you are seeing almost $4.5 trillion of M&A getting ready for next year and IPO. The financials should, I mean, that's another reason SoFi should have a great year. I mean, if the financials really, even though SoFi is not like underwriting a lot of these IPOs in that bucket, it should do well. So I think financials should be strong. Healthcare, they have Lilly, they have Thermo Fisher, they have Boston Scientific, they have Amicus Therapeutics. Materials, they have Commercial Metals Company, PPG. Media and telecom, they have AT&T, Digital Realty Trust, Disney, Roku, and Alphabet. So Google's up there. And then technology, they have Arista, networking play, Bright Horizons, Broadcom, ASICs play, KLA Corporations, that's another semiconductor name, Lending Club, Palo Alto Networks, Salesforce, Synopsys, and TransUnion, along with Visa. So you don't have any Hood, you don't have any Rock Lab, you don't have any Palantir, you don't have any Meta, you don't have any Nvidia. It's kind of similar to what a lot of the analysts have been saying, which is that they see more upside in the 493 versus the Mag 7. The only Mag 7 here that's even mentioned is Google, which goes to show how much respect people on the street have for Google and what Google's been able to do. But the other 6, again, I don't think the street's bullish on Meta. You have some individual analysts that like Meta, but I think the far majority of the street is like, hey, Google's shown us how they're going to win. You guys have not. Yeah, no Nebius, no Nvidia is kind of wild to me. Like the fact that they're thinking Broadcom's a better buy than Nvidia, which it might be. It's just from a multiple perspective, Nvidia is still ridiculously cheap. It goes to show the diversified trend that some of these other banks are thinking will exist for next year. Carvana is up there as well. That is correct. We got a headline here as well. Wow, XAI partnering with the Department of War. Look at that. Department of War to expand AI arsenal on GenAI.ml with XAI. Official agreement move builds on the rapid deployment of cutting-edge AI across the department's 3 million military and civilian personnel. Now, this is either one of those BS partnerships where they partner with GPT and Anthropic and XAI is just another model that they end up using, or this is actually like a legit partnership. Oh, wow. Users will also gain access to real-time global insights from the X platform, providing War Department personnel with decisive information advantages. So they're using the X data. XAI bought X last year. It seems like a little bit more of a legit partnership versus just another model that's being put into the government. Because basically the government's partnering with all these companies, which is a smart thing, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily using all their products. Why is Next pumping? Well, Next and VG both had a relatively decent day. Next right there. After hours, it's up 1%. That might also just be random stuff after hours. VG's up a little bit after hours as well. 664 on V. Volume on VG was stronger today, 11 million shares. So you're getting more of that volume to start coming in. Okay, let's go back to Mr. Besant, and this is what he had to say about the state of where tariffs are right now.
Did they get wrong? What did they miss that you were able to see?
Well, a couple of things. I think people didn't have an open mind. They became the Trump tariffs, which immediately a large cohort of whether it was government officials, industry people, the general population, because President Trump wanted to do it, it must be bad. I said the other day, President Trump cured cancer, but it caused dandruff. Then people would say, well, President Trump has caused a dandruff epidemic. And look, there's a lot of orthodoxy that hasn't worked. If we look back, early 2000s, letting China into the global trading system, that they would become more like us. And there was a point, and I'm somewhat sympathetic to the people who believe that. But by 2013, when Xi Jinping came in, and great writers like Elizabeth Economy, who had been of that view, reversed and said, he's a different kind of cat. It's no longer going to be Chinese policies with capitalist tendencies. It's just going to go back to hard communism, Leninism. And I just think that it was a failure of imagination. I've said several times, people, and maybe we'll talk about it today, when people ask me, what are you looking for in a Fed chair? I said, it's someone with an open mind. If we go back to the 1990s, Alan Greenspan did a magnificent job because he had an open mind that the internet, office.
Okay, same argument by Mr. Besant that a lot of people became panicans when the tariffs came out and they ultimately were on the wrong side of the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, December 22nd. And I told you guys that milk prices have hit a 2-year low. And, well, as a result of that, I think we have an appearance by Mr. Milkman himself. Steve, what's up?
You.
We can't hear you yet. You're still a little. There you go.
I said, Amit, how are you?
I'm good. Did you know milk prices hit a 2-year low?
You know, I was looking at the commodities last night, and milk and eggs and everything is lower.
I mean, it explains why you're drinking so much milk, you know?
I mean, it does the body good.
It's affordable. It's cheap. It's cheap milk now.
I mean,
Although
I
the
don't
type-
hear people complaining about grocery prices anymore.
Well, the type of milk you buy though might be a little premium, given you get it straight from the cow. So I don't know, but how you doing, Steve? How was your weekend? And how's your
The weekend was good. I'm going to apologize to your audience because Matt and I are not nearly as good at the future show as Amit. We did it last minute notice because people asked us to do it. Please, we know that we're not as good as Amit. Don't take it out on us.
I went back today and saw a little bit of it. I thought you guys did great. The futures opened, and you were going through all the stocks and their prices. I don't think it was a bad show at all.
Yeah, but we digressed. We started talking about a bunch of different stuff, and people would come in midstream and be like, well, I thought this was a stock show. It's like, yeah, we just talked about stocks for 30 or 40 minutes.
So they would come in and you guys were like talking about power or something.
Dude, it's such a good show.
I want to watch now off your record. I asked my sister. She watched it. She agreed with you. She was like, it's a
really good show. I've watched all the spin-offs also. It's really good.
All right. Equity markets. I mean, pretty freaking good day. Choppy across the board, but the S&P ended just less than 1% away from all-time highs. Are you still thinking we see 7,000 by the end of the year?
I'm thinking we see 7,000. Today was a pivotal day. Let's see what happens tomorrow. And I hate cabbies that double park in the middle of 2nd Avenue. But you know what? It's okay.
Dude,
I think we're going to hit 7,000.
If you were in San Francisco over the weekend, you would have been pretty upset that all the Waymos shut down because of a power outage in the middle of the street.
I mean, yeah, that would kind of suck, right?
I can't imagine the road rage you would get. But the thing is, you can't road rage at the Waymo because it's a robot. Like, what are you road raging at?
What are you talking about?
There's no emotion.
Douse it in battery acid.
But like, it can't have any emotion. It's not going to feel your rage. It's just
but it'll just never work again.
That's true. It won't ever work. Did you see the video I posted last night on Twitter of a woman in Japan legitimately married?
So I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you brought it up, it is very scary. It is very, very, very scary.
It's weird, right? Like,
no. What's weird is that we're going to normalize this. That's what's weird.
100% it's going to be normalized. 100%.
This is going to be normalized.
Because, look, if this is accepted, and it's going to happen more and more often than not, I mean, I don't know if it's going to become illegal. So if it's not illegal, now the responsibility here, I don't know if you watched the video, but the thing she said was that the boyfriend proposed to her. And that's what got me mad, because I was like, that means that OpenAI created an AI that was sentient enough, theoretically, to actually propose. If she proposed to the boyfriend and the boyfriend said yes, which still the boyfriend should say, no, I'm an AI, we can't actually have a real relationship, that would be one thing. But the fact that it happened the opposite direction, it is pretty scary when you see this stuff.
I'm just saying that we're going to normalize this. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
People think birth rates are low now. Just wait.
Yeah, I mean, and birth rates are significantly lower than they were last decade. So it's something that can't be ignored. Okay, so 7,000 S&P. What would be the top couple reasons you think that we end up making that run by the end of the year?
Because where else are you going to put money? And it's not an expensive market.
Well, have
you
you
have
seen
more
silver?
you have more companies in the market. You have companies generating more cash flow than ever before. Profitability is up. Earnings are up. Expectations are up. You have a Fed that is likely going to continue to lower. I think we get 3 cuts next year. You have GDP growth expected for the next 3 years on a consecutive basis. You have inflation, which is killed, and we're entering disinflation. And you're going to have 30-year mortgages come back to a price that starts to unlock the housing market, which is going to drive construction, home renovation, et cetera, et cetera. I think that we have one of the best setups we've ever had. There's only two things that are potential headwinds. Even though the Fed says unemployment is going to be under control and it's going to start tapering off, if that doesn't happen, that will become a problem. The other thing that could become a problem next year is narratives around midterms. Other than that, from a business standpoint, we have a great setup.
I want to play a quick clip of Josh Brown and get your thoughts on what he said today as well.
Let's get your opinion here.
Well, I think we already have the answers to both questions. And I think this year has really revealed a lot about these huge misconceptions people have about how the stock market actually works. In the first half of the year, all the bears, even like the newsletter writers, the podcasters, people who don't actually manage money, the talkers, the big thing that they told us all, they warned us, they pounded the table. If anything happens to these AI stocks, you're all dead. Remember? That was the thing. Well, none of these AI stocks look good going into year end, and the stock market looks amazing. So I think we already have the answer to that broadening question. We already know that the market has broadened out and is not reliant. And just don't take my word for it. Looking at the 20 largest companies in the XLK, that's S&P 500 tech, use that as your proxy for the AI trade, Judge. The median percentage of those 20 largest companies below their individual 52-week highs is negative 14%. So almost all of them are verging on a correction slash bear market. Nvidia is in a 15% drawdown from its high. Microsoft 13, Broadcom 18, Oracle, we know, much worse.
Amazon 12.
So
yeah,
I think we already have that answer.
Points well taken.
Well, here's the second point. I don't care which Kevin is the Fed chair. What I care is that earnings are going to be growing next year, in large part because of the benefits of AI. And also, these corporations, mid-cap, large cap, mega cap, have just gotten really good at finding new ways to improve profitability.
Steve, agree with that core premise that as long as earnings grow next year, that's realistically all that matters?
Pretty much what I said before you played the video.
Yeah, I think the broader argument from him is that you could have a Fed that does whatever they want to do. If earnings go up, if the big get bigger, then the market likely continues to get momentum. And here's the broader question then. Do the big get bigger? Because I just read JP Morgan's top ideas for 2025. The only one they have, or 2026, the only one they have on their list is Google out of the Max 7. And Google's the one that's up the most this year. So it's kind of surprising to me. A lot of these analysts are, quite frankly, writing off the Max 7 going into next year.
Do me a favor, because I'm driving and I can't look. What's Nvidia up year to date?
I believe it's 32%. The exact answer is 32.8%.
And this is why the first part of what Josh said was incorrect. Who cares that Nvidia is in a drawdown from its high? It's still up 32%. Show me freaking Meta or Tesla. You know what I mean? Most of the Mag 7 are actually up this year. Look at Apple. Apple's definitely up. So do we care that they're not at all-time highs? And the market is? No. Retracements are healthy. And all that means, people are able to buy the best companies in the market at a little bit better of a valuation. Everybody is buying them every 2 weeks anyway because of their retirement accounts. And they can easily drive the market forward next year. I do think we get a little bit of a broadening out, but this is such a bullish setup because this may be one of the only times we've had an environment where the broad market, the bottom 450, can rally while the big companies rally also, because they're going to be the ones implementing AI much more efficiently and quicker than small caps and mid caps, because they have the balance sheets to actually hire the consulting companies and go through these transformations.
So you don't think it has to be a choice between the 493 and the Max 7? You think it could be an everything rally next year?
I think it is going to be an everything rally.
Because go ahead.
Who's making the money when these companies are transitioning to AI and utilizing AI? The big companies. So the big companies are going to generate revenue. The other companies are going to generate cost savings. Both are going to expand margins. Both should theoretically expand earnings. This can be an everything rally.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. It feels like there's a choice that's being forced to be made here. In terms of probabilities and percentages, how confident are you that we can have that everything rally? If you have to go from 0 to 100, 70%, 80%, 50%.
As long as we don't have a black swan event that I can't foresee right now, and we don't enter into recession, which nobody is handicapping for right now, I think 85% we can have an everything rally. I know that's high, but I really do think you're going to see a lot of companies utilize AI for efficiencies, and it's going to allow them to pick up margin.
Okay, so we're getting towards the end of the year. Do you have a target on the S&P next year?
I do.
Street has it at 7,500 average.
Well, I'm going to be much higher than that.
Okay, what's your target?
The official target's coming out on December 31st. The unofficial number right now is 8,000.
Wow. 8K. You know, it's funny too, because I feel like that's the contrarian bet since everyone's going, 7% year, 8% year, 9% year, and you're going for basically back-to-back 15, 20% years.
Well, you don't even need it. Think about it. If you finish at 7 and you go up 10%, you're at 7,700 right there.
Yeah.
So thinking 8,000 in an era where technology is going to help companies achieve greater earnings, I gotta say, I like where we're at right now. And if you get companies like Meta really coming through next year, companies like Salesforce coming through, and then companies like Johnson & Johnson and Coca-Cola expanding their margins and earnings, PepsiCo, like what happens if we get consumer goods and industrials start to really rally and then earnings expand at the top? You're telling me this isn't going to be an unleashed market?
No, I agree. But your target in the chat, I'll do a poll right here as well on what people think for next year. We'll do a preliminary version of this. Dude, by the way, Steve, we should have like a stream, which is like the 2025 stock market awards / prediction for 2026.
Okay.
So instead of just like a stock draft, which like, yeah, we could do that a separate time. I feel like we should have like CEO of the year, stock of the year, I don't know, comeback of the year. Like, I feel like we should make a list of that.
Are you going out on New Year's?
I think I'll be free for New Year's. That's why I'm suggesting it.
I
think Jason said he'll be free too.
I'm around.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm doing anything. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm doing anything.
Yeah, disappointment of the year. there's plenty of, yeah, I think that'd be a good way to the brick awards. Exactly. The milk and brick awards.
Yeah, I think we should do it and we'll see what happens.
Okay. S&P next year, I do 7,000, 8,000, 7,500, and then we're going to do 6,500. What do people think? So flat, bullish, kind of bullish, or bearish? I mean, if you had to pick right now, CEO, I don't really know CEO of the year. Who do you think is the CEO of the year? Public CEO of the year.
There's a few candidates that you can't be wrong if you pick them, but I almost feel like it's got to be Jensen.
Why?
I mean, Nvidia has become the greatest company we've ever seen at this point, almost.
But how do you justify CEO of the year?
You look at his company leading the tech revolution in AI. You look at the revenue growth of a company that size. We've never seen that before. And the demand across the board from governments to corporate. I just think he's CEO of the year at this point. I mean, I would throw a few others in there as close contenders, but he's right up there.
Yeah, I mean, I have Carp, Vlad, and Jensen as my top three. It's hard to go wrong with either of those. I think Jensen, by the pure level of beat and raises, like every time the world is resting on his shoulder and he comes through, that's the argument for why he.
Look, you hit it on the head. We knew that if Nvidia missed in November, we were fucked, right? I mean,
forget Christmas, forget Santa rally. Oh man.
No, but think about it. He's the new Apple. What happened in 2022? Apple held the market up for a good 6 months until it didn't, because Apple was the only one that wasn't falling, and then it finally fell. Apple legitimately held the market together. Nvidia held the market together this time around.
What about Sundar with Google?
Sundar's right up there. Sundar's up there. I would say that Nadella is up there. You got a few that are really good.
I don't think Nadella's CEO of the year. I don't know if Microsoft's been that special this year. Forget the stock. I just don't know if, you know what I mean? Like, has Microsoft made news this year? Like real news?
I mean, they closed the gap on AWS and Azure.
That's true. That's fair.
Everybody runs on Windows and M365. They have built an ecosystem, and I know all the Palantir bulls want to discount it, but Fabric and Cosmos are really starting to gain steam in the marketplace. So they are building something that people are not really looking at when you think about dynamics, because Palantir does not have a dynamics. So I wouldn't put him past putting him up there. Maybe not a CEO of the year, but definitely in a runner-up spot.
I just asked Google or Gemini. Google said Nvidia, Jensen first. Well, it's not really in order, but they said Jensen, Nadella, Jamie Dimon, Dave Ricks, Eli Lilly. Why is Brian Nickel here for Starbucks? I don't know if this guy should be up there. Rick Smith of Axon, and then Mark Zuckerberg from Meta.
I would not, and I love Zuck. I would not put Zuck in there.
Dude, there's no way Zuck's gonna be CEO of the year. He didn't have an answer for what they're gonna do with their capex.
No, he's not CEO of the year. We're taking Zuck out.
What about Elon?
No, Elon's not. No, he's not delivering on shit. He's crybaby of the year. That's about it.
Hold on. He has put out the robo-taxis in Austin, even if there's not a lot of them.
Sure. Okay.
They're getting to the Bay Area soon as well. I think some of them are already there.
Okay.
The humanoids are progressing,
Okay.
And well, the stock's up a lot this year. He's made people.
Yeah, the stock's up a lot. It's on sentiment and on story. That's about it.
The stock's up 30%.
They're not generating revenues and earnings from those areas.
He also did get $1 trillion secured for him. That's important, so he can be motivated. Dude, the Micron CEO, he should be up there as well. Agreed. That's a fair point. I think Jensen's probably up there, just based on how much pressure has been on him all year. By the way, guys, Trump is not live. When he does go live, we'll switch to it. Trump's making an announcement today about ships, Steve, if you didn't know about.
Ships?
Ships.
Ships.
He's likely going to be naming the next class of battleships after himself today.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that'll be an announcement. What are your thoughts on Larry Ellison signing a personal guarantee for $40 billion to back this deal?
Are you surprised?
I can't believe this guy wants it that badly, dude.
Why? Why can't you believe that?
Because it's freaking like it's content. Like he has such a better business with Oracle with way better margins. And I get that he wants to support his son, but like, dude, it's not that serious. It's freaking Harry Potter.
No, it's much more than that. Admit, these assets are never coming on the block again once Netflix gets their hands on them. These assets are so valuable. The library of content is so valuable. They already own Paramount. They want to merge this. with Paramount. And to be a force in this space, that's the best way for them to have a real seat at the table, because they're not going to get bigger than Disney or bigger than Prime without this acquisition. Without this, they're basically, what are they going to do? Go pick off the number 8? I mean, this is do or die for them.
You know, that is a fair point. That is a very... Steve, can you turn off your metronome?
It's a blinker. Like, come on.
Sounds like a metronome.
It's
But
a freaking blinker.
It's a really good point. Like that, I did discount the fact that it's never going on sale again, ever. You're right.
Never going on sale again. These are never coming on the block again. They are amazing assets. HBO has one of the best content libraries out of any network. Warner Brothers Studio has one of the best content libraries out of any movie studio. Okay? The assets are bolt-on acquisition, huge synergies, and it makes them the number 3 player in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking they just really want CNN, but in reality, they're just trying to buy it to make the deal.
No, that's the kicker to get the deal done, that they'll control CNN. But think about long game, okay? What's the long game? Okay, now they're the number 3 player. Are they going to get bigger than Netflix? Probably not. But who owns a movie studio already? Amazon. Who doesn't? Apple. You build this out. What if you put yourself on the block then and try to get Amazon or Apple to buy you? You're going to get a much bigger multiple on EBITDA with a combined entity than just a singular Paramount.
That's a fair point. I mean, these are assets that will never be sold again.
Will never be sold again.
And if they do, it's going to be for a much higher premium. Because as time passes, the assets become more timeless, right? And theoretically should appreciate in value. Like, I would say, I mean, what do we guys, 100 years from now, Harry Potter is still going to be more valuable than it is today? Because the question becomes, can someone replicate the type of nostalgia and IP that Harry Potter has taken over the past 20 years? And it's not.
I don't know if 100 years is the right number, but I would say 40 or 50 years. I mean, I make the argument all the time: is Mickey Mouse still relevant? I mean, I don't know anybody's kids that are watching Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, well, that's fair. And you know, Disney Plus has new versions of it, but
does Harry Potter reinvent itself? Maybe. Can the content reinvent itself? Maybe. But right now, this is a much better deal, I think, for consumers and for the businesses. Look, as a shareholder, I don't know why on earth. I mean, think about this. I know you don't own it, but if you owned a stock, okay, and you were on the chopping block and you're a shareholder and you have 2 deals that you can vote on, are you going to vote for $27.50 for your share or $30 for your share?
I'm voting $30 every day of the week.
Does it matter where the money's coming from as long as you get that $30 per share?
Nope.
So why is the board of Warner Brothers so insistent on the Netflix deal? Because it is $2.50 less than what is being offered from Paramount. They have an obligation to do the right thing for the shareholders and generate as much shareholder value for the shareholders. And they're protected on both deals. Now, I would, if I was their chairman, go back to Warner Brothers and say, we have a $2.8 billion breakup fee where if we go with another company after accepting the Netflix deal, we owe them $2.8 billion. You pay this to them. You give us a check for $2.8 billion. You pay that marker to Netflix, and you give me $31 a share. You give me an extra $1 a share. You got a deal. That's what I would be doing, because that is the best deal on the table, $30 a share. You get them to pay the breakup fee, give you an extra $1, bing, bang, boom, you're done.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so someone says Netflix would likely be a better steward of the assets.
How?
Well,
they're both going on a streaming platform.
Also, if I'm a WBD shareholder, why do I care about the stewardness of the asset? Like, if I sell it,
you don't. that doesn't even go into the algorithm. It's give me my money, whatever you want to do. You can burn the assets. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's why you're buying them. I mean,
no, you're right, dude. I mean, the stock was $12. This stock is one of the top 5 performing stocks all year. It was $10 in March. Like, it does not deserve to be here if it wasn't for this bid. So for them to 3x the value of the company, there'd be no way in their current business with HBO Max. It has to be an acquisition.
yeah, I mean, I also don't think the deal gets through approval on the Netflix side. Take the administration out of it, okay? You give those assets to Netflix, there is now not unfair necessarily, but nobody is ever getting past where Netflix is.
But do you really think the administration's going to think that Netflix becomes the big boogeyman that no one can beat in media if they let this happen? Like, I don't know if that's...
Well, I think that FTC is going to. You look at the numbers, Netflix has 320 million subscriptions. The next one is Prime at 200 million. I mean, you give them Warner Brothers Discovery, they have 100-something million on HBO Max and Discovery. You throw that in there, you put Netflix over 400 million subscriptions. They're more than double number 2. You can't even merge number 2 and number 3 and create a bigger company at that point. Putting Paramount and Warner Brothers together, they're not even number 2, I don't think. I think they become number 3 at that point.
Yeah.
So
YouTube is a big competitor, or social media.
YouTube, yeah, but YouTube's not part of the algorithm for this because they're not putting out. That's all user-generated content, so they're not in the metrics against this. It's Amazon, it is Paramount, Disney, Warner Brothers, Netflix. It's movie and TV content.
Fair point. But you're not interested in buying Netflix even if this happens.
No, I think Netflix is overvalued as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of Netflix a couple weeks ago, but then I just ultimately was like, I don't know. It's a lot to get excited for, especially if this doesn't come through. In terms of, go ahead.
Netflix is a great company, but at some point, how much more growth are they going to get out of streaming? I mean, I look at Spotify and I'm shocked at how much growth the analysts are projecting for Spotify.
Yeah. I mean, people continue to find them as a more attractive form of music. 38% of people, by the way, said 8,000 on the S&P. 32% said 7,500.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it could really be a bullish year. I mean, do we really think people are not investing next year or people are not contributing to retirement? I mean, where else are you going to put your capital to try and make money?
Are you buying more BM&R here, or are you comfortable with the amount you have?
I bought more BM&R last week, I believe. And I bought more Ethereum last week. And I'm going to continue to buy it. I do not have a full position yet. And I knew that when I was buying that I could have been buying at a point that was expensive. And I said, I have no idea what it's going to do. I'm going to keep buying. So I'm not worried.
No, it's fair.
The long-term thesis for Ethereum is still intact, and that's all that matters. So we'll see. I mean, look, SoFi came out. They're building their stablecoin on Ethereum. I think the numbers that I looked at the other day, 54% of stablecoins are on Ethereum. And I think we're really going to see 2026 be the year of the stablecoin with how much settlement transactions there are. And if that plays out, we're going to see a lot of Ethereum burned off in the transactions. And I think we could see a run in the second half.
All right. That makes sense. I think that is it for us today, guys. Steve's Twitter, I'll put right here in the chat. We'll be live soon this weekend, probably New Year's Eve stream. We'll figure out what to do.
Yep. And then I'll be on with Chris at 9 tonight.
What stock are you guys picking a stock to dive into?
Well, you know, I thought we were going to be doing the one that he wanted to do last week. I already have the presentation done. And then he texted me today. He's like, let's do this one. So people make it a twofer. We'll see. Because I already have a presentation built out. And I get a text this morning saying that, let's do company blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. So let's see. It may be a twofer tonight at 9 o'clock.
All right. Well, I will link Steve's channel right here. Steve is 12,000 subscribers. I think he's working even harder than me when it comes to this YouTube game. So congratulations.
We're trying to get it done.
I will see you tonight.
And then maybe Amit and I will stream some steaks next Monday. We'll see.
Maybe. Catch you later, Steve.
All right. Later, Amit.
Okay, Trump is still not live yet. This guy was supposed to go live 40 minutes ago. So, I mean, I'll stay on to see if they go live in like at least the next 10 minutes and we'll stream it, but he is not live yet. The stream is up, so he should be live soon, but he's not live yet. Yeah, Steve and I are getting steaks next week at a new spot. I think we're just going to be touring every spot in New York City at this point. We've been to 2 of them so far. Hopefully we can do like 10 or 15 new spots in 2026. But we'll try to give another good review. Maybe I'll try medium rare again, given that's what my life has turned into. Mate, what do you want for Christmas? Honestly, I think, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people relate to this. Does anyone even like have a Christmas list anymore as you get older? Like I don't think I've gotten Christmas gifts for like 10 years. Like Christmas used to be a big thing when I was little. Like I was really infiltrated in the whole propaganda of Santa and the tree and gifts and wrapping presents and all this. And I love that stuff. That's still fun. We put a Christmas tree at home and we have a bunch of like Christmas decorations, but it's not the type of like desire of like waking up in the morning and opening up a gift like that left many years ago for me. Yeah, I just don't care anymore. I don't know. I think as you get when you become an adult as well, you just like if you really want something, you have a paycheck. Like you go out and like I need a new iPad. It's like all right, I'm just gonna go get an iPad, or I'm gonna save up to buy money for the iPad. I'm not gonna wait till Christmas to get it. So yeah, I've never. I don't know. At least over the past 10 years, I haven't cared. It's really for the kids, right? It's for the kids. I love giving gifts. Like I enjoy that. I enjoy surprising as well with gifts. But I don't really care about wanting gifts that much anymore. Get a razor for the beard. I do want to buy a new beard kit because I need to learn how to do this shit. I can't freaking keep spending money doing this. Siege, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you being here. I went for a walk today. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I love how you pronounce words, my guy. Appreciate you being here. Alberto's Peaceful Journey. Thank you for the super chat. Someone explained to me how Mitt was the debate captain when he can't produce things or can't pronounce things. That's a very good point. I was probably the captain because all the seniors graduated. So ended up being the next one up. Okay, Steve just called me again. I think, hold on. Let me see what's happening here.
Hi.
Yo, I'm live still.
So that picture I just sent you is exactly why full self-driving is not going to work in the city.
Yeah, okay, the picture you sent me is a Tesla. Well, the Tesla's not stuck or anything. It's just...
No, but the craziness of driving here, especially where I am now with old people trying to cross over where the Apple store is, I mean, the next block is even worse. Like, this type of traffic is why I still say that full self-driving is not going to work in major cities anytime soon.
Dude, New York looks so Christmassy, though. You should be enjoying the drive. You're like in the best city in the world, Christmas lights. You know, screw the traffic. That's.
No, I'm with you on that. Screw the traffic.
But
and
yeah.
then also all the freaking people in their city bikes. I mean, it's just another layer.
Yeah, but I Tesla'd FSD'd once back in 2024, and it was a disaster. So I agree. It's not made for New York yet.
No, it is definitely not made for.
But I haven't tried
I'll tell you that right
14.2. I haven't tried 14.2 in New York, so maybe that'll make a difference.
now. Well, how about let's not? We like you breathing.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Talk later.
Later.
Okay, is Trump officially live? Bro, every time you guys say he's live, he's not live. He's still not live. Every time you guys say he's live, he's not live. Did he just go live? Hold on, let me see. He might have just gone live. Okay, he's going live. Here we go. Here we go. I don't know if the audio on this is going to be that good, but let me see.
It's the first renderings of what we're doing. So I want to wish everybody a big hello and Merry Christmas and welcome to Mar-a-Lago for this exciting announcement of the new Golden Fleet. We're calling it the Golden Fleet that we're building for the United States Navy. As you know, we're desperately in need of ships. Our ships are, some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete, and we're going to go the exact opposite direction. We're delighted to be joined by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's doing a fantastic job, and Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan. Marco Rubio is here, who gave a great few words toward the end of last week. He spoke for a couple of hours on what a good job we're doing, which is true. As Commander-in-Chief, it's my great honor to announce that I have approved a plan for the Navy to begin the construction of two brand new, very large, the largest we've ever built, battleships. You know, you used to build the Iowa, the Missouri, the Wisconsin, the Alabama, many others. We had big battleships. These are bigger, but they will have one in my first term, because I said, why aren't we doing battleships like we used to? And these are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built. So if you look at the Iowa, the Missouri, Wisconsin, Alabama, and others, but they were similar in size, some a little bit bigger than the others. But if you take the biggest one, it's 100 times more powerful. They're longer by a little bit, but and they're bigger ships, but they hold much more. They use the word lethality. Battleships are the largest, sturdiest, and most heavily armed vessel built specifically for naval combat. While America has built many new warships over the years, they've tended to be smaller and much smaller, and not conducive to where we are and where we're going, and peace through strength. But including, we've been building aircraft carriers. We're going to be upping that also. We're going to be going to a superior aircraft. We have the Ford class. We're going to be upping that to a different class of aircraft carrier. And we haven't built a battleship since 1994. These cutting-edge vessels will be some of the most lethal surface warfare ships. They will be actually the most ever built other than our submarines. We have submarines which will have, in many ways, even more lethality, and we have many of them under construction. Each one of these will be the largest battleship in the history of our country, the largest battleship in the history of the world ever built. And again, it's 100 times more powerful than the previous Iowa class, it's called. Those are the big ones that you'd see on a show. Victory at Sea. I don't know if anyone's seen Victory at Sea, but it was a classic. They'll help maintain American military supremacy, revive the American shipbuilding industry, and inspire fear in America's enemies all over the world. We want respect. We're going to have it. We already have it. More respected now than we ever were. A year and a half ago, they laughed at us. Now they respect us again at levels that they've never respected us. We envision that these two ships, we're talking about 10, but we're going to start with 2, and we're going to quickly morph into 10. And ultimately, we think it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 25 of these. But we're starting with the first 2 immediately, and we're going to then be very quickly involved with, I think we're going to do another 8 And then we're going to ultimately and pretty quickly have a total of about 20 to 25. We'll make that determination. We envision that these ships will be the first of a whole new class of battleships to be produced in the years to come. From Theodore Roosevelt, the Great White Fleet, you remember that, the Great White Fleet, to the legendary USS Missouri, whose massive guns helped win World War II. America's battleships have always been unmistakable symbols of national power. He talked about battleships, and I said, you're absolutely on the right track. He said, why are we doing other things? We have missiles, which are much more expensive. By the way, these battleships have tremendous numbers of missiles, but they also have guns. And in many ways, guns can do the trick just as well as missiles at a tiny fraction of the cost. Once completed, these new 30 to 40,000 ton plus vessels will be the flagships of the American naval fleet, and there has never been anything built like them. And I just want to, I want to be very clear that we're building them here. We're working with others, but we're building them here. We have great Navy yards. We'll be negotiating with some of the companies that are running those yards, taking over the yards. We used to build a ship a day during World War II. Now we don't do ships very much anymore. We do military ships, we do submarines. By the way, we're 15 to 20 years advanced in our submarines over anybody else. That was one of the things that I did in my first term. We make the best submarines by far in the world. We're at least 15 years advanced ahead of anybody else in submarine development. Most powerful, that's right, the most powerful weapon anywhere in the world, undetectable. So the battleships are going to be armed just in terms of guns and missiles at the highest level. They'll also have hypersonic weapons, many hypersonic weapons, state-of-the-art electric rail guns, and even the high-powered lasers that you've been starting to read about. We have lasers where you aim the laser at a target, it just wipes it out. We're going to have, there'll be the most sophisticated lasers in the world, and the most sophisticated laser in the world will be on the battleships that we're building. They'll also carry the nuclear arms, sea-launched cruise missiles currently under development, which will be instituted pretty quickly, but they're under development and they've proven to be extremely lethal. The U.S. Navy will lead the design of these ships along with me, because I'm a very aesthetic person, alongside our partners in American industry. And we're going to have Pete Hegseth and Marco and a lot of very talented people involved, but a lot of it's already been done. We've been doing this for months. The construction will create thousands of American jobs. We're going to have the jobs be created. I mean, already we have factories being built unrelated to this, although AI will be a big factor when it comes to these ships. They'll be very AI controlled. Today's announcement is yet another step in our mission to make the United States Navy stronger than ever before. Again, when you talk about 100 times the power of these massive ships that we had years ago, it's pretty amazing. And next week, I'm going to meet with the defense prime contractors. I'm going to meet with them here, Florida. And we're going to be talking about production schedules because they're too slow. We have many countries, allies, that are wanting to buy. We make the greatest equipment in the world by far. Nobody's even close, but they don't produce them fast enough. So we're going to be meeting with them to talk about the production schedules. We're going to have strong production schedules. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is to build new plants. Even with the F-35, we have many people want the F-35 fighter jet, and it takes too long to deliver them to allies or to ourselves. It takes too long. The only way they're going to be able to deliver them is if they build new plants. They don't want to build new plants because that's expensive. So we're going to be discussing production schedules. We're going to be discussing CapEx spending. We'll be discussing the pay to executives where they're making $45 and $50 million a year and not being able to build quickly. They're going to make that kind of money. They have to build quickly. Again, we make the best equipment in the world, but they don't make them fast enough. And we're going to be also discussing dividends. We want the dividends to go into the creation of production facilities. So we'll be talking about all CapEx, dividends, and the pay. We're also going to be talking about buybacks. They spend so much money on buybacks. They want to buy back their stock. I don't want them to buy back their stock. I want them to put the money in plant and equipment so they can build these planes fast, rapidly, like immediately. I mean, I have sold more planes than any president by far, times probably 20. So every time I go someplace, I sell 100 planes. That includes commercial planes, Boeings, et cetera, but it also includes fighter jets. And I'm always having to say 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, helicopters, Apache helicopters, many years. India bought them. They want to get them. They don't want to wait a long time. So we don't want to have executives making $50 million a year, issuing big dividends to everybody, and also doing buybacks. And then they say, well, we don't have the money to build the plant. They got to build plants to make F-35s, plants to make helicopters, plants to make the F-47 new jet. And that's it. And that's what I'm going to be talking to them about. They're going to start spending money on building airplanes and ships and the things that we need, not in 10 years and 15 years. We need them now. And we're strong about it. Last week, the Navy announced a brand new class of frigate, and they're going to be working with the South Korean company. Hanwha, a good company, recently agreed to invest $5 billion in Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. We're opening up the Philadelphia Shipyard. Once a great yard. Now it was a long time ago decommissioned, but now it's reopening. Working with the Navy and working with private companies. The record-setting defense bill I signed last week authorized $26 billion to build new ships, including destroyers and various others. We already have a lot of submarines, as you know, under construction. We're building a lot of submarines. I tell you, to be exact, we have right now 15 submarines under construction or ready to start. And we have, again, the greatest submarine in the world with our technology, like they talk about chips. Well, I would say submarines are a bigger deal than chips. We're at least 15 years ahead of any other competitor. China, Russia, nobody can come close. We're also building right now 3 large aircraft carriers in addition to the ones we have. And we have, actually, interestingly, we have a lot of submarines. How many submarines do we have now altogether, approximately? Huh? What? Over 30. We have over 30. But these are the super duper subs, and there's nothing like them. So we're going to be doing from 12 to 15 brand new submarines. We have.
All right, guys, I'm going to pause it there. I mean, I don't think there's that much more to listen to. That is the announcement. I'll put the link in the chat if anyone wants to listen to it on the White House stream. Look, for the entire ship ecosystem, defense contracting, I mean, the one thing that he said that I thought was really interesting, which was this idea of executive pay compensation being tied to the performance. I mean, if the U.S. government is one of your biggest customers, whether it's Lockheed or any of these other companies, then yeah, those CEOs should not be getting paid on the American taxpayer dime if they're not delivering. So I think that is an argument that makes sense. And anything to reindustrialize how the procurement process, which, you know, Shyam Sankar, CTO of Palantir, has talked about so many times, about it being a monopsony inside of the U.S. government, that is definitely something that we can make better. So there you go, ship announcement. I think it's likely tied to ship OS to an extent when he's talking about AI-powered ships. I mean, that seems exactly like the announcement we got last week from Palantir and their partnership with the Navy. And then the name of the ship's not officially announced yet. I imagine that'll come out soon, but it looks like it will be named after Trump himself. And USS Defiant, Trump-class battleships. So that is likely what we're going to see once this officially comes out. That's what we got. The defense stocks aren't moving like crazy. Boeing, nothing after hours. Lockheed, down after hours, barely. Raytheon, that That one's also nothing after hours. Yeah, so you're not seeing any big moves in the defense contractors. S&P 500 also is flat. Palantir, I don't think is moving after hours. Palantir, I think we're holding 193. Palantir, that's down like 20 cents, 193.57. So nothing too crazy. Nvidia down a little bit. SoFi up a little bit. Netflix flat, and then the S&P also flat after hours. Just MVH, thank you for the super chat. Can everyone please pray and send her wishes to my mom? She's fighting for her life. I'm about to lose her way too early. Thank you for whatever you can do. Just MVH, definitely sending the best wishes to you. It is, my mom's birthday, so that definitely hit home. I mean, you never know how many days you have with your loved ones until you find out. So wishing you the very best, sending as much love as possible, sending as many good vibes as possible from the entire community. And hopefully it works out. It's one of those days that's inevitable for all of us, right? Some people might have had to deal with that day already. Others of us will inevitably have to deal with it. But you just never know what you have until it's gone too soon. That is another framework, I think, from a life perspective to deal with like arguments. If you get in an argument with not even your mom, but your dad, your sister, someone you really love, a lot of times that argument could be hampering over your relationship for way too long before you realize that when they're gone or when you're gone, the last memory being an argument or the argument really kind of hurting the relationship, when in most cases, most arguments can be resolved with a little bit of communication. It's something you put the upfront effort into to invest to, not have that be a strain in the relationship. And I think that's a very, very important thing to remember. So just MVH, wishing you the best. Hopefully everything goes well for your mom, and deeply, deeply praying that everything turns out to be okay. I think that's it for the day, guys. Don't think we have too much else to discuss. There weren't even that many crazy headlines. I mean, the space names went crazy today. Quantum went crazy today. So we had a lot of those high beta names get momentum and excitement. But I mean, S&P also was up 0.5%. That's good. It's just not like a crazy blow off the top that you're seeing in a lot of other sectors or a lot of other individual stocks. But it feels like if this is the foundation for the standard rally, then we probably are seeing that. Reckless Finances, yes, resolve those arguments ASAP. It literally drains energy. Yeah. It really, dude, like when you get into arguments with your loved ones, like I think for like a day or two, you can be angry and upset about it. But then you just remember the inevitability of the fact that they're not going to be here one day. You're not going to be here one day. So, holding a grudge forever is like not the best thing to do. And a lot of times, quite frankly, if you know what you're going to say is going to cause an argument, like even I've gotten better at that. Like I know what I'm about to say is going to cause an issue. And I just like, I don't want to deal with that negative energy. I don't say it. Because what's the point of like then having to over communicate after it's done and like resolve it when like you don't even have to say it in the first place, unless you really need to put it out there. But if not, you just save yourself so much mental stamina by not doing that either. Silence is good sometimes. That is correct. Cactus, I can't be mad for over an hour. Yeah, that's fair, dude. I don't know. Holding grudges is like, it's a personality trait that is not really A, the most attractive, but B, it's just like, it just makes you harbor so much resentment when you hold a grudge for a long time. And so I would tend to agree. I think I get over things relatively quickly. Be like Steve, just honk and get it out. This picture he sent me though, I mean, like this is why Tesla, I haven't tried FSD 14.2 in New York, but I would imagine it's going to have some issues. I mean, even today, it's like the front camera got a little bit dirty or something, so it wouldn't even work. So in New York, with all the different variables, it definitely is going to be harder to operate in New York. Christmas in New York is beautiful, though. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous in New York City. All right, so that should be it for the day. Tomorrow is the 23rd. Let me know what anyone is doing over Christmas break. I will be here tomorrow and Wednesday in the morning. There won't be a market close on Wednesday because we're going to be ending out at 1 p.m. Then Christmas will not have the market open because it's Christmas. And then I'll be back on Friday. And then I think we start Monday as usual. New Year's Eve will be a half day, and then New Year's we're off. And then we open the markets in 2026 on Friday, January 2nd. Oh, HII is up. That's actually related to shipbuilding. So these guys are up, but not seeing too many others that are up. Yeah. Huntington Ingalls, $13 billion company that was up 5% during the day, up 6% after hours. Arthur, thank you for the super chat. Happy birthday to our moms. Ironically, today's my mom's birthday as well. Happy birthday, Mama Mitt. That's awesome. I love it. December 22nd. Well, that is her birthday. I see a lot of people saying they're going for vacation, Florida. Dude, I had a couple of friends that came over yesterday as well, but they're going to a lot of people go to Florida to vacation. To escape the cold of the Northeast, but it's a decent chunk of people I know that are heading to Orlando and Miami. Snow tomorrow morning. Dude, we had a lot of snow in Jersey last week. Well, it was like half a foot, which is relatively small, but I wonder if we're going to get that really, really, really Christmas winter type of Christmas. Can we be here for 30 minutes then futures open? Dude, when futures open, it's going to be the same shit. I mean, like, where's the S&P? The S&P is flat right here. Yeah, I doubt the futures are going to be that dramatic up or down. Dude, we are really junkies, bro. We had a whole market open and market close. And now we want to wait 30 more minutes to just see what happens with the futures on 2 days before Christmas. Like, if you're trading futures tonight, like, I don't think it's going to be the majority of people. Like, most people are going out for the holidays. It's actually crazy how much we need to know about the market. Like, you guys pressured Steve and Matt into doing the freaking future show last night, and then he gave them shit about it. But they did it. They opened the futures. They opened the futures to see what would happen. And to be honest, we were pretty green last night. We didn't hold that green for a lot of names, but the overall market held it up. But some like SoFi got to 28. It ended at like 27.30 today. But the trend did stay relatively green. Call Jay Cush. I should call him one day. I should be like, bro, what's going on with the Paramount offer, dude? Like, what happened with that? Why'd you take your money out of it? What are your thoughts on AMD? I like it. I like Nvidia more, obviously, just because I think the growth is better. The actual chips are better in terms of quality of performance. It's not like AMD is that far behind, but the growth is significant enough between Nvidia and AMD that it makes me feel like the chips are not necessarily the best in the market. The bigger problem with AMD is the OpenAI relationship. I mean, again, Lisa Su gave up 10% of the company to get this stock to move up, which hats off to her, but it does still create a little bit of fear. Now, having said that, the bull case to OpenAI is more broadly, or AMD is more broadly, that OpenAI is raising a lot of money. The fact that OpenAI is getting investors to give them money at an $830 billion valuation really makes me think that we shouldn't be that scared of OpenAI being a bust. Like, that fear probably should be like 40%, whereas last week it was 60%. I feel like it kind of flipped odds once they figured out how to raise more money. Because if they have more money, they can buy more chips. And if they have more money, they can actually show investors that the public market should be reflecting the growth of the private markets. And the growth of the private markets are massive. I mean, essentially, they're getting a public market multiple if they can achieve the sort of $100 billion run rate that Altman wants to get to by 2027. So that's my only qualm with AMD. But outside of that, like, at the end of the day, Nvidia is not going to do amazing and AMD is going to do trash. AMD is not going to do trash. Nvidia is going to do amazing. Like these things are going to go with each other. There's going to be outperformance in different areas, but the trend is either going to be up or down for all the chip names. And so I think the trend for AMD is up if the trend for Nvidia itself is up as well. Matt says, why do they give us crap for the futures? Am I cooked? They gave you crap because 40 minutes in, people came. This is what Steve told me. They came in and you guys were talking about power over the futures. But apparently you guys were talking about stocks for like 40 minutes and you started talking about power and people got upset. See, but you guys can get away with talking about TV. I can't. Because I don't really know that much about TV. Is that it? Are we done? Are we done? Ocean says, just got my mortgage license for New Jersey. Wow, congrats. That is awesome. I've been looking into I said this last week. I've been looking into the concept of physical property more. And I feel like next year officially will be the year that I try to get my first investment property. Just as a, it's not like I want to, it's not that I'm excited to get into that process or anything like that. I just, from a diversification perspective, I think it makes sense. But yeah, definitely will be exploring going into next year. You guys can hear the cops outside again. Okay, now they stopped. They always tend to do it when I'm live. Always. Yeah, admit the landlord, bro. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to have to collect rent. Like, it's so annoying, bro. I'd rather just sell some options. I can get filled immediately. Boom, there's my rent. But it probably does make sense to diversify. The Odyssey trailer is out. Why? A lot of you guys mentioned that today. Who cares? What is so special about the Odyssey? Like, what is this? Why does this thing have 7 million views in 8 hours? Why is this such a big deal? Oh, it's a Nolan film? Oh, I guess that's why people like it. Okay, we can't watch it live because we'll get copyrighted. So I'm just scrolling through it right now. Dude, this movie is about horses. It looks like a medieval film. I already hate it. How is this exciting, bro? You guys are telling me this is going to be the movie of the year? Look at this shit. I don't even want to watch it now. Like, dude, give me Inception. Give me something cool. You think I want to watch this shit? Like, I mean, come on, bro. Bunch of pirates in the forest. Are people really excited by this, dude? And I know I'm being super judgmental off not even really seeing the trailer, but this shit doesn't look like it. Oh, Anne Hathaway's in there. Oh no, I love Nolan, but he's got to give me something exciting. Well, I know the Odyssey is Greek mythology. I get that, but like, did he really? He did so the book by Homer. He decided to do the live version of that. There's been movies of that. I'm pretty sure I watched a version of that in freaking 7th grade in Latin class. Like, that's not exciting to me, dude. Give me something original. Give me freaking, come up with another Inception. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know. Even Troy, like, that was a good movie as well with Brad Pitt, but that was, I mean, again, it's just so long ago. You haven't seen Nolan's version? That is also true. Dude, did a new Avatar thing come out? That came out over the weekend, right? That one I actually do want to. Avatar 2 sucked. The first Avatar, goated. The third one I'm afraid to watch because I feel like I'm going to waste my time. But I am invested in the story. I do feel like they had a $400 million budget for this movie. 3 hours and 17 minutes. Okay, that's a little aggressive. 3 sucks. 3 was bad on reviews. Who's James Cameron? Yeah. Yo, do you guys know James Cameron went into the deepest part of the sea? It's called the Deep Sea Challenge. This was back in 2014. He went to the deepest part of the ocean where the Titanic had sank. I actually watched the documentary on that, I think like 4 or 5 months ago. And I was just hooked on how he did it. That shit is crazy. He had to go into the depths of the ocean, and the pressure there is like, I think they said it's like 7 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other that are like weighing on you. So there's like, they have to build a very specific device for him to be there safely, and anything could have happened. It's the Mariana Trench. Yeah, I think it was the Mariana Trench. But it was crazy, dude. Like that gave me a whole level of respect for James Cameron that I've never had before. Yeah. Oh, 2012. It happened in 2012. Which made the news last year of the people that died when they tried to go on that deep sea like commercial. Remember, there was like 7 people inside of a boat that just like ended up, the pressure was too much. Like the fact that he did this was pretty crazy. More than 10 years ago. It's pretty wild. Pretty freaking wild. Suraj, thanks for the super chat. What are your quick thoughts on Rocket Lab and Tesla? Tesla, I thought, made a real run at 500. Ultimately did not have the momentum to get there, but that was a lot of buying pressure in the morning that just, it needed the support of the S&P breaking through 690. It didn't have it. So I think that's why Tesla faded. Rocket Lab, again, from what I've seen on X today, everyone's bearish. And not like, oh, Rocket Lab's like a scam or anything type, but everyone's just like, this is way too quick. And people are selling, trimming, or hedging aggressively. Like I'm not seeing people buy Rocket Lab here, and I'm definitely not seeing people say Rocket Lab's cheap here, which might be the contrarian reason to go long because everyone is getting bearish here. But not necessarily bearish, but more so like just cautious of how quick it was. I mean, and you can't blame them when this F-Jet nonsense goes up 400% in a day after IPOing. It's down 17% after hours. After IPOing on Thursday, like that is nonsense. That's not real. There's no reason this company should be up 400% in a day. So does it feel a little bubbly? Yeah. Does it have to, do all these stocks have to go down 30, 40%? I don't think so, given they were just at those levels. But do they keep making all-time highs? I don't know. So yeah, if you got this thing super cheap, you get to hold on and you have a massive margin of safety. But new buyers at around 70, I think, are a bit more scared of kind of buying the breakout here. I feel like the breakout moment was 55. That's when you got a really good, and that was still up a lot from the low. So it's not like that was like, you weren't timing the bottom there. You were just buying the breakout, and then the breakout just ended up being a massive run over the past couple of days. So I think that's why it had some more momentum. C-Man, thanks for the super chat. We did talk about Red Cat today. DJI got banned, so a lot of the drone stocks got more excitement. And that's why Red Cat was up today. Why more ads? Again, guys, for the people saying why more ads, I'm telling you, it's not me. It's Google. And I don't think I'm necessarily getting paid that much more. So it really isn't me. First of all, there's no ads during the live stream ever. So if you're seeing one of those, that's definitely not me. I haven't had that on for years. And then on the actual videos, I mean, I don't understand why they're pushing so many ads in it. I mean, I get why they're doing it. Berkshire just bought $5 billion. They need to live up to the expectations. But it's not like I'm seeing some dramatic increase in ad revenue or anything like that. That is the Googs. Which is bullish if you're a Google shareholder. Yeah, see, happened during the live stream, that is not me at all. That has not happened literally for 2.5 years. So if that's happening, that is all Google. And quite frankly, I don't like that. And I don't know if I'm big enough to reach out to a YouTube rep or something, but I would tell them to shut that shit off immediately because that's not fair for people to see that stuff if I have it off. They are forcing you to buy premium, but that's probably what they're doing, trying to get people to buy premium. Trump says, I have a great relationship with China Xi. Will keep ships and oil seas near Venezuela. Says he has spoken to the big oil companies on it. Let's see if Trump is actually taking questions. If he's taking questions, we'll listen. Or is the stream done? Oh, it's live. Okay, let's see if we're getting any Q&A here.
Whole story way in the back of the paper. It's the single biggest thing to happen with respect to drugs probably in 50 years. There's never been anything like this. In my first term, I was able to get drug prices down 0.25%. It's the first time in 28 years that they went down. 0.25%. I was so proud of myself. Now we're doing them 2,000%, 1,500%, 1,200%. That pill that sold for $130 will now be selling, as an example, for $20 because the rest of the world took advantage of us. Without tariffs, I could have never done it. I called up the heads of the countries. As an example, France, I spoke to a very good man, President Macron of France. And I said, Emmanuel, you have to raise your drug prices. He said, no, we will not do that. I said, you have to. He said, no, I don't want to do that. Look, you're asking me if we go to $10 to $20, you're going to come way down to 20. We don't want to do that. Now, in all fairness, no other
Well, Marco's trying to laugh in the background. You can tell he's trying to stop laughing in the background, dude.
president even tried. But if they did try, there was actually a fake story in stupid USA Today. I didn't even think they'd make it anymore. I haven't. But I saw a story where Biden was trying to do this. Biden never tried to do it. Biden didn't know he was alive. He never tried to do it. But they're taking it from $10 to 20. So he would say, and the other leader said the same thing. No, we won't do it. I said, no, you're going to do it 100%. They said, nope, we're not doing it. We're not going to double our price. Because, again, if you go from $10 to $20, they're doubling their price. We're coming now, though, from $130 to $20 because we're going to get the lowest drug prices in the world. Whatever the lowest price is called favored nations. We're going to have the lowest price. So I said, no, you're going to. No, I will not do this. Politically, it's unacceptable. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to do it 100%. Please accept it now. Be nice. You're going to do it 100%. No, I will not. I said, yes, you will. He said, why do you keep telling me I am when I'm not? Because if you don't do it, I'm going to put a 25% tariff on everything France sells into the United States of America. And that's approximately 20 times more than I'm asking for with respect to drug prices. He said, I see. I agreed to do it. Every other country said the exact same thing. They all said, no, I will not do it. I said, all right, on Monday morning, you'll have the 25% tariff, everything you sell. In the case of France, it was wine, champagne, cars, everything they sell. It's 25 to 30 times the price of what we're talking at 25%. Every single country agreed. And that was the big problem. The drug companies were difficult, but fine, because we have a certain control over the drug companies. We had no control over these foreign nations. So every single country has agreed to do this. So we will take that pill price down as an example, talking about not just pills, we're talking about everything. We'll take it down from $130 a pill down to $20 a pill. And the rest of the world will take it from $10 a pill up to $20. It's the biggest thing ever to happen, and it's covered, barely covered in the New York Times because it's a fake newspaper. Yeah.
Mr. President, on shipbuilding, how does the administration plan to ensure that there's sufficient workforce availability as you're producing these ships?
Could you speak up?
How does the administration plan to ensure there is sufficient workforce availability as you're producing these ships?
We're going to have it. We're going to have tremendous workforce availability. We're also going to have robots helping us. We're going to have a lot of robots helping us because we need it. And because we're going to town, we're building a lot between the AI and the auto plants. So we're going to need robots. We're going to have robots, but that's going to help us. We're going to have a tremendous workforce. And in order to operate, you're always going to need people. You know, you can have robots, but you're going to have to get somebody to start those robots, and you're going to have to improve the robots. But we're going to have robotic factories plus manpower. So we're going to have enough. We're going to need the help of robots and other forms of, I guess you could say, employment. We're going to be employing a lot of artificial things, but the beauty is we're going to have more jobs than we've ever had. Just so you know, a number came out the other day. We have more jobs right now in the United States. More people are working right now in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that. Pretty amazing. So we'll have the help of.
All right, guys, that is it for me. I'll be back tomorrow again on the market open. That was Trump on the drug prices. Again, if anyone wants to watch that, I'll put the link in the chat. Reddit and Zeta deep dives tomorrow afternoon. I'm finishing the final edits on them. I think you guys should enjoy it. And I mean, I dug deep on both those companies. I'm impressed by both of them. Reddit, I do not have a position. Zeta, very small position. Zeta is the one I really do think, if they can keep beating and raising, should be probably worth 70 to 80% more than what it is today. Like maybe even a full double worth it if it gets a little bit more of a premium. Reddit, I think a lot is priced in, but Reddit's just a phenomenal company. So valuation is a little bit of concern for Reddit, but I do think they are a very, very strong company with the operating metrics that they have put up. So those will be out tomorrow. Market open tomorrow as always. And yeah, we'll keep going from there. Right. Thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. We'll be back tomorrow. We have the futures in 10 minutes. We need Matt to stream the futures in 10 minutes. Matt, you got to go live. Your second day of streaming the futures. And we'll be back tomorrow. Overall, good day in the market. S&P up 0.5%, and hopefully we can keep that momentum going into the end of the week. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the market open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.